We want to look at how Raila Odinga Jr. and Raila, the Prime Minister, are namesakes. In almost all cases where we know of a son having the same name as the father, we know of two cases. But Raila Odinga's Jr., his is a unique one. I've never seen such a case. In many societies, like the British or the Americans, one of the sons, especially the eldest son, bears the same name as the father. And that is why the son is called Junior. Just like the American presidents, we have George Bush and George Bush, uh, the son and the father. So the son is the eldest son and was named after the father. In that case, we also have the case of Mutula Kilonzo. Mutula Kilonzo Jr., who is the governor and former senator. He shares the same name as his deceased father, Senator Mutula Kilonzo. When we talk about that incident of Mutula Kilonzo, President George Bush, this is a case where the eldest son shares the same name as the father. And for the case of Governor Mutula Kilonzo Jr., is that when he was born and nurses rushed to the father wanting to know the name of the boy, the father said, kama ni kijana aitwe Junior, kama ni kijana aitwe Junior. So that is how he became Mutula Kilonzo Jr. But should you get him, tell him that he is impersonating, because his father wanted him to be called Mutula Kilonzo Junior and is calling himself Mutula Kilonzo Jr. Akamba mutika kwate mabea tondo obo osuni wa ma no obo osuni nobo wa Mutula aye mwana etwe Junior ti Junior. So that is how Mutula Kilonzo Jr. became. Among the Luhyas, of which I belong to, somebody can be called the same name as the father. But Luhyas, rarely are they called Junior. Rarely are they called Junior. Usually they are called, if the father is Wafula and is also called Wafula, you can hear him being called Wafula wa Wafula. How does it come among the Luhyas? It comes among the Luhyas because a man dies when his wife is pregnant. A man dies when his wife is pregnant. And then when the child is born, he's called the same name. If he's a boy, he's given the same name as the father. That is why those who come from a place called Chimo, you know a person called Karandini, the late Karandini. He was called Mbuya Wambuya because his father was called Mbuya, and he was born a few months after his father's death. Of course, it is almost impossible for a lady, to be born after the mother dies, especially the old days. So Luhyas, if you find somebody sharing the same name with the father, it means that the father died a few months before he was born. Raila Jr. shares the name with the father. Raila Jr. shares the name with the father, the prime minister. But he did not get the name Raila Jr. because of the examples I've just given. He was not given that name as junior. After all, he was not even the eldest son to him. And he was also uh, not given because of the Luya tradition that he died. I mean, the father died a few months before he was born. Or even, we may even have circumstances where a man or a family just wants the son to bear the same name as the son. Actually, Raila Jr. and Raila Sr. were named after one person. It is very unique that Jaramogi named all his children. All his children is the one who determined their names. And most of his grandchildren, if not all, he also decided the names to give them. That is why Jaramogi admired Fidel Castro of Cuba. And again, Jaramogi admired his own grandfather, paternal grandfather. Jaramogi admired his paternal grandfather, and the paternal grandfather of Jaramogi was called Raila. He was called Raila. So Jaramogi named his second son after his paternal grandfather. And then when the second son again had a second son, he also named him Raila. But to differentiate the two, they started calling him Junior. They started calling him Junior. And that is how you find Jaramogi, not Jaramogi, Raila, and his son bear the same name, and to differentiate them, the other one is called Junior. Now you know. Curiously, Jaramogi insisted on giving when it came to baptizing his sons, he insisted on giving his sons Luo names for baptismal. Of course, we know that the daughter who is Ruth, has a Christian name. But for the boys, when it came to the turn of christening them, he insisted on giving them a second Luo name. And he argued with the Anglican Church. Whereby he told them to quote the Bible where they said that the name Mark, Luke, John, whatever, James, are the names to be given to people upon being christened. That is why you find that he gave them the names Oburu. Oburu has two names. Raila has Raila Amolo. He gave them the two names. What about lastly, as we complete this, let us ask ourselves, what are Jaramogi's full names? First of all, understand that Jaramogi is not a name. Jaramogi is a title. We find that among Luos, unless it is Luos of today, but Luos of those days, you could not be called Ramogi or Jaramogi. You find there was a minister who was called Ramogi Ochieng Oneko. Ramogi Ochieng Oneko. Anybody with such a name, especially the elderly people, not the modern one, these are the people who have the lineage. They have the lineage of Ramogi, the founder of Luorism in Kenya. The founder of Luorism in Uganda is Apathola, and that is why you find Japathola. But the founder of Luorism in Kenya is Ramogi. That is why Jaramogi. You find the name Ja. Ja in Luo's Ja is son of. Or even the place you come from, Jaugenya, Jasuba, something like that. So Jabathola are coming from Apathola. Jaramogi is coming from Ramogi. And those in Tanzania, Jakowin. But then all of them together is Jaluo. That is the word Ja. So Jaramogi, it means of the Ramogi. He had 4 names. He had 4 names. The traditional names were Oginga, Odinga. Oginga, Odinga. So from can I start with Fidel, the late Fidel? Fidel was son of Raila. Raila was son of Oginga. Oginga was son of Odinga. Odinga was son of Raila. Now you get it. Now, Jaramogi's, I said Jaramogi was a title. His name was Oginga, son of Odinga. But he had 2 Christian names. The Christian names he had were Adonijah Abednego. His names were Adonijah Abednego. So his full names were Adonijah Abednego Oginga Odinga. Those were his full names. And he was given the name Jaramogi as a honorary name. Now you know something about the Jaramogi family. Let us meet in another episode. God bless you.